are on Chapter 1, Lesson 5, otherwise known as 1.5, and it is on page 37. 37 is where we're starting in your book. And this is just going to help us understand place values. So that's what we're working on today. And we're going to start with drawing it. So we're going to use models to describe the relationship between the value of the digits in this decimal and their place value position. So first thing we're going to do is use models. We're going to shade the model to show 77 hundredths. So we've got 77 hundredths. So I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So I've got to color all of those in. And remember, as usual, if you need more time to color this, you can always pause the video. But I'm going to finish here 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 77 out of 100 are colored. And the word form of that is 77 hundredths. 77 out of 100. And the standard form is 0.77. So it says that the same place value chart that we use for whole numbers can be extended past the decimal to include decimals. So we're going to write the decimal 0.77 in the place value chart. Well, how many ones are there? There's our ones column. There's 0 ones. How many tenths are there? 7. And how many hundredths? 7. So this reads 77 hundredths. Now this wants us to look at the relationship between that. So it says the value of the digit 7 in the tenths place, this one, is 0.7 or 7 tenths. Well, I guess it wants us to write that out. 7 tenths. But the value of this 7 is actually 0.07 or 7 hundredths. Now, if we used a calculator to divide those up, let's see what would happen. Hey, Beth? Beth, let's time on for just a second. For just a second. Did you do your reading yet? Goals and your 30 minutes of reading? But I'll get this right back. So I got my calculator here on my phone, and so it wants us to use a calculator to divide up 0.7 divided by 0.07. And my answer is 10. So you're going to write 10 on there. So the value of the 7 in the tenths place is 10 times as much as the value of this. This right here is 10 times bigger than this 7. The 7 tenths is 10 times bigger than this 7 hundredths. So the value of the 7 in the hundredths place is 1/10 of as much as the other one. So if we went the other way, this is 1/10 of the size. So this guy's 10 times bigger if we look that way. And if we're going this way, it's 10 times smaller, or 1/10 of the size. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the page. So it wants us to try it. It says it wants us to describe the relationship between the value of the digits and their place value position. So we're going to use the chart. We're going to look at this. Oh, here's our decimal right here. 0.027. So that's 0.027. So there's 0 ones How many tenths are there? 0. How many hundredths are there? 2. And how many thousandths are there? 7. So 0.027. You can see we put that in. The digit in the thousandths place is what? We look at our thousandths place, so that digit is a 7. It has a value of, what's its value? Well, it's actually worth 0.007 all by itself. If this digit were to move bloop, to the hundredths place, what would its value be? If we could move this 7 here and get rid of that 2, what would its value be? This time it'd be 0.07. It'd be in that spot. Okay, if it were to move again, boop, over there, it would have a value of 0.7. The digit in each place has a value that is 1/10 as much as it has to the place to its left. So every time you go this way, you get bigger, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, every jump. And every time we go the other way, we're at 1/10 of the size. 1/10 of the size. If this is confusing to you, don't worry, because we're going to do a lot with this. So let's do this talk about it. So this model right here shows us 33 thousandths, 0.033. Use this decimal to answer these questions. What is the value of the 3 in the hundredths place? So remember, if we look up at our chart, we've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So tenths, hundredths. What is that 3's value? Well, it's worth 0.03. That's what it is. It's just by itself 0.03. I can't say it's worth 3 because it's definitely not 3 wholes. And I can't say it's 0.3 because that's 3 out of 10. So it's 0.03. What is the value of the 3 in the thousandths place? What about that 3, the second 3? Well, it's worth 0.003. It's all the way over there. It's got these two, the tenths and the hundredths, in between it. It's only 3 out of 1,000. The digit in the hundredths place is how many times as much the digit in the thousands. So how much bigger is this 3 than this 3? Remember, every time we move 1 over, we get 10 times bigger. So my answer there is 10 times. 10 times bigger. And then how many times is the thousandth compared to that one? If we go the other direction, every time we go this way on our place value chart, we times 10. Every time we go this way, it's 1/10. So it's 1/10. That's our answer there. Sorry, I've been cutting you off. I'm sorry. So every time we go to the right, it's worth 1/10 as much. So it's 1/10. Again, this is a tricky thing to talk about, so we're going to do some more practice. Let's go to our practice page. It's given us these models, so it wants us to write that decimal in standard form and word form, and then we're going to complete a sentence about it. So first of all, let's write the decimal in standard form. So this is out of 100. So if we wrote a fraction right here, and let's see how many we've got. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 55 out of 100. That's our fraction. That's just extra bonus. Helps me to write the fraction first. So in a decimal, standard form, it's 0. How many places is it going to have to the right of the decimal? There's 2 zeros, so it's going to have 2 places. This is a review from yesterday. And then our 55 drops in. 55. And our word form is we write the numerator, 55, and then it's hundredths, less than 1, 55 hundredths. Okay, so the value of the digit in the tenths place, that's this one, is how many times bigger than this one? Well, we moved one way this way. So how many times bigger is it? 10 times. 10 times bigger. Let's do some more. Ooh, this one, you guys. It's got how many of these blocks filled? 99, right? Out of 100. I can see that just one is not shaded. So my decimal, my standard form, is going to be 0 point, how many places is it going to have? 1, 2, 2. And I drop in my 99. 99 hundredths. And I write it just like that. 99 hundredths. 99 hundredths. The value of the digit in the hundredths place, we're taking a look at this one, is how many times this big? So we're moving this way every time. It's 1/10 of the size. It's 1/10 of the size. Every time we move to the right, it's 1/10 of the size. Okay, now we're in a thousandth model. So I know that my decimal, the standard form, is going to have how many places to the right of the decimal? There's 1, 2, 3 zeros. It's going to have 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So let's count up and see how many we have. That's 10, 20, 21, 22. And remember, you don't need to count those top guys because that's just the top of that cube. 22 thousandths. Now, I can't put my 2 right here because that's 2 out of 10, and that's different. We need 22 thousandths. So my number is 0.022. To write it in word form is 22 thousandths. Thousand with my th at the end. Thousandths. The value of the digit in the thousandths place, that's this guy, is how many times as much the value of this digit. So we're going this way. We're getting to that. How many times? It's 1/10 of the size because we're moving to the right. 1/10. And then we've got one more problem down here at the bottom. We're also in a thousandth cube. So my decimal is going to be 0 point space, 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 because there's 3 zeros, space, 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 space. And this time I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4. 44 out of 1,000. And I've got to fill that 44 here. I need 44 thousandths, not 440 thousandths. 44 thousandths, and we write out our number, 44 thousandths. And here's what it's asking us. The value of the digit in the hundredths place, this one right here, is how many times as much this digit. So we're going from there to there. Every time we move to the left on the place value chart, it is times 10. 10 times as much. If you need more time to finish this page, go ahead and hit pause and finish filling in that page. Okay, we're going to go to number 9 on apply it. Micah asked for directions to a local park. He was told to go, I'm gonna circle this because this is a number that I might need to know, 0.33, 33 hundredths of a mile south to get to the park. The value of the digit in the tenths place, let's underline that, is how many times as much of the value of this one. So if we started at that one and we moved over to get to the bigger one, it's 10 times as much. 10 times as much. Okay, let's look at this. In science class, Abigail's frog weighed 0.88 hundredths of a kilogram. What is the value of the digit in the tenths place? Well, we're just going to write 0.8. It's worth 8 tenths. That one is all by itself. Okay, we've got a pattern here. Look for a pattern. for the decimal 0.555, which is 555 thousandths, the value of the digit in the tenths place is how many times much as the value of the digit in the thousandths place. So how much bigger is this 5 to this 5? Now that is tricky because we've actually jumped twice. So we start here and we go times 10. And then we go 1 over again times 10. So what's 10 times 10? It's right, it's 100. It's 100 times bigger because every single jump is a times 10. Okay, last problem, because we're not going to do the right about it, is look at this place value chart. And they've got it here down below. What happens to the value of the 2 as it moves places to the left of the thousandths place? So here we start, and let's see, this 2 is worth 0.002, and if it jumps up there, it's 1/10 of the size, 10 times the size, 0.02. And then if it jumped here, it's going to be 10 more times the size, 0.2. And so we're going to write every place bigger is 10 times the value. I promise you guys that we're going to be doing a lot with this. This is just the beginning. If it's still not making sense, keep hanging in there. You guys are going to get this. If you want extra practice, you can do the homework page, but you do not have to. So I'm going to write homework is optional. So if you want to go to do this homework page, just to practice, you are welcome to do that. And you can send it to me if you need help figuring it out. Thanks, you guys. Keep up the good work.